As we dive more deeply into the biblical account in Genesis chapter 10, we see that Nimrod, the builder of the Tower of Babel, which is where the languages were supposedly confounded, was the son of a very famous person by the name of Kush, who was the grandson of Noah. Noah of Noah's the Ark. Nimrod was known as the Great Hunter. Notice also the reference to the Great Hunter of Orion. Nimrod, being the son of Kush, would have come from where the Kushite people came. And in the Bible, it actually references as well that the river Gihon goes into and flows into the place of Kush, because Gihon actually means gushing water. The word gush or kush is from this derivative. So therefore, as we look at the place where this river came from in southern Egypt, we then must ask ourselves the question, is it more likely that the Kushite people that are referenced in the Bible were in the ancient land of Chem? And in fact, I could find no reference in contrast to the people of Kush ever having visited Mesopotamia. So if we take the biblical account at face value, and also that Josephus and the Nile River was known anciently as the Gihon River, we must consider Abu Rawash as a potential location for the ancient Tower of Babel.
The story of the Tower of Babel is very interesting, especially concerning the origin of human languages. But let's explore this notion that the Babylon we know of is a replica city of something that existed far earlier, a city that we now know as Cairo. And what if the Tower of Babel was there and it was destroyed? How would that affect our understanding of human history? The ramifications of changing the original location of the city of Babylon are incomprehensible. It would rewrite history books. It would change mainstream understanding of human history, and it would change what we know about human language.
Prior to the Younger Dryas incident, there seems to be the suggestion that there was a worldwide network going on, and that there were certain areas, particularly like this area in Egypt, but also at Teotihuacan in Mexico and Xi'an in China, where they were building these pyramids for a very specific purpose. And we know they're all related by the measurements of their bases and their heights, and it's very clear they were all based on the megalithic yard. And so there was a connection between them all. So ultimately, that whole region where these pyramids were being built, these pyramids were literally meant to be towers to reach the heavens. Even if we look at them as stargates, that's really what a stargate is, right? You're creating a tower to reach the heavens. And they were all working with each other, which means they all had enough of a similar language to be able to do this. And then after the Cataclysm, everyone got separated, languages started to develop separately, and this is very much in line with that Tower of Babel story. It's quite possible that this region of Egypt was the main source of this story, and that later researchers began to realize that and pointed to this being the true Babylon.
When we look across the plains, what we see above the ground is only a fraction of the secrets and the mystery under our feet. What the science is telling us today is that when we look at Abu Rawash, the mysteries that we know exist will only continue to unfold in future generations. Abu Rawash tells us that something happened in this place a long time ago, something important, and it was worth the time and the energy of the people at that time to build the pyramid, to build that staircase. The fact that so little is understood in this area tells us that what is under our feet is probably undisturbed, pristine, and may open the door to even deeper understandings of our relationship to the cosmos as we begin to understand our relationship to Abu Rawash.
As the mysteries mount from the western banks of the Nile, what other evidence will be revealed to expose the vast underbelly of this legendary necropolis and alter the mainstream timeline for the rise of human civilizations.